I never thought I would be sitting in a courtroom staring across the aisle at the woman I once loved, watching her try to destroy me with lies. Jessica sat there with her expensive lawyer looking confident like she had already won, but she had no idea what was coming. My hands were sweating, my heart pounding, but I kept my face calm. I thought about the good times we had, the camping trips along the Oregon coast, the Sunday mornings making pancakes together. How did we get here? How did the woman who used to laugh at my terrible jokes become the person trying to ruin my life in front of a judge? But she had no idea what was about to happen. Before we dive into what happened in that courtroom, I want to ask you something. Where are you watching this from? Drop a comment and let me know your city or country. If you have ever dealt with a difficult breakup, or someone who tried to take advantage of you, hit that like button. And please subscribe, because what happens next in this story will show you that sometimes justice really does win. Trust me, you will want to see how this ends. Now let me take you back to where it all started. I met Jessica 5 years ago at a small coffee shop in Portland. It was one of those rainy October mornings, the kind where the entire city smells like wet leaves and espresso. I was waiting in line checking my phone when I heard someone laugh. It was her. She was talking to the barista about some design project she was working on, her hands moving as she spoke, her eyes bright. I do not know what made me do it, but I turned to her and said something about the rain never stopping in Oregon. She smiled at me, and that was it. That smile changed everything. Jessica was a graphic designer working for a small creative agency downtown. I was a software developer at a tech startup, nothing fancy, just decent pay and long hours. We started dating 2 weeks after that coffee shop meeting. The first 6 months were perfect. We would drive out to Cannon Beach on weekends, walk along the shore, and talk about everything. She told me about her dream of starting her own design studio. I told her about wanting to build something meaningful in tech. We cooked dinner together almost every night. She made this incredible pasta dish with garlic and white wine. I can still remember the smell filling our tiny kitchen. After 2 years of dating, we decided to move in together. We found a 2-bedroom apartment in southeast Portland. Nothing too expensive, but it had big windows and a small balcony where we could drink coffee in the mornings. I thought we were building a life together. I really did. Jessica seemed happy. She would show me her design work, ask for my opinion, and we would stay up late watching old movies. Everything felt right. But about 6 months after we moved in together, things started to change. It was subtle at first. Jessica suggested we open a joint bank account. She said it would make things easier, that we could save for our future together. I thought it made sense. We were planning a life right. So I agreed. I started transferring my paycheck into that account. Jessica said she would handle the bills and manage our savings. I trusted her completely. Then the spending started. At first it was small things. A new dress here, a spa day there. But then it became bigger. Designer handbags that cost hundreds of dollars. Weekend trips with her friends to Seattle and Vancouver. I was not invited to those trips. When I asked her about the spending, she would get defensive. She would say things like, "Do you not trust me?" Or, "I work hard, I deserve to treat myself." I felt guilty for even bringing it up, so I stopped asking. The spending was not the only thing that changed. Jessica started controlling who I spent time with. My best friend Marcus and I used to grab beers every couple of weeks just to catch up. We had been friends since college. But whenever I made plans with Marcus, Jessica would find a reason for me to cancel. One time I had plans to meet Marcus at our favorite pub after work. I had not seen him in almost 3 months. That afternoon, Jessica called me crying, saying she needed me to come home immediately because something terrible had happened. I rushed home, my heart racing, imagining the worst. When I got there, she was sitting on the couch, perfectly fine. She said she just felt lonely and needed me there. There was no emergency. Nothing had happened. She just wanted me home. I started canceling plans with Marcus more and more. Eventually, he stopped asking. I could feel the distance growing between us, but I did not know how to fix it. Jessica also started calling me during work hours, sometimes 3 or 4 times a day. She would ask where I was, who I was talking to when I would be home. My boss noticed. My productivity dropped. But I told myself this was just what relationships were like. This was commitment. This was love. I felt trapped, but I still loved her. Or maybe I loved the idea of who she used to be. I kept thinking that if I just tried harder, if I was more understanding, things would go back to how they were. So I made a decision that I thought would fix everything. I decided to propose. I bought the ring with money I had saved before we opened the joint account. It was a simple diamond ring, nothing extravagant. But it was beautiful. I proposed to Jessica on a Saturday evening at the Japanese Garden in Portland. She said yes, and for a moment I felt like everything was going to be okay. We were going to get married. We were going to build a future. The problems would fade away. We set the wedding date for 8 months later. Jessica immediately started planning. She wanted a big wedding at a vineyard in Willamette Valley. She wanted a designer wedding dress, a live band, flowers everywhere, and a guest list of over 200 people. When she showed me the budget, my stomach dropped. The total cost was around $60,000. I did not have that kind of money. But Jessica said this was our special day, that we only get married once, that I needed to make this happen for her. So I drained my savings account and took out a loan from the bank. I told myself it was an investment in our future. Jessica controlled every single detail of the wedding planning. She picked the venue, the flowers, the menu, the music. When I suggested something, she would smile and say, "That is sweet, but I have a better idea." I became a spectator in my own wedding planning. I just nodded and signed the checks. 4 months before the wedding, something happened that made me start questioning everything. I was looking for a document in our home office when I accidentally came across a bank statement from our joint account. I was not snooping. I just saw it sitting there on the desk. Curiosity got the better of me. I opened it. My heart sank. In the past 6 months, Jessica had withdrawn over $40,000 from our account. $40,000. I checked the dates and amounts. None of it matched the wedding expenses. The deposits to the wedding venue, the dress shop, the caterer, those were all accounted for separately. So where did that $40,000 go? I confronted Jessica that evening. I asked her calmly what the money was for. She exploded. She accused me of not trusting her, of invading her privacy, of being controlling. She said the money went toward wedding preparations and our future. But I had seen the wedding invoices. The numbers did not add up. When I pressed her, she started crying. She said if I did not trust her, maybe we should not get married at all. I panicked. I apologized. I told her I was sorry for doubting her. I did not want to lose her. So I dropped it. But the doubt stayed in my mind, eating away at me every single day. 2 months before the wedding, my entire world collapsed. I received a text message from an unknown number. It said, "We need to talk about Jessica. Meet me at the coffee shop on Hawthorne tomorrow at noon." This is Amanda. I had no idea who Amanda was. I almost deleted the message. But something told me to go. The next day I went to the coffee shop. A woman in her early 30s was sitting at a corner table. She waved me over. She introduced herself as Amanda, an old friend of Jessica from college. She looked nervous, like she was carrying a heavy secret. Then she told me something that shattered me. Jessica was having an affair. She had been seeing a man named Trevor for over a year. Trevor was a real estate developer, wealthy, divorced, and apparently very generous with his money. Amanda showed me screenshots of text messages between her and Jessica. In those messages, Jessica bragged about the expensive gifts Trevor bought her, the trips they took together, the hotel rooms they stayed in. Amanda also showed me photos. Photos of Jessica and Trevor at a resort in Cabo San Lucas. Photos of them at high-end restaurants in Portland. My hands were shaking as I looked at the screen. I asked Amanda why she was telling me this. She said she could not stay silent anymore. She said Jessica was using me for financial stability while enjoying a relationship with Trevor. Amanda said she felt guilty for not saying something sooner. I thanked her. I did not know what else to say. I left the coffee shop in a daze. I needed proof. I could not confront Jessica based on screenshots alone. So I did something I never thought I would do. I hired a private investigator. For 1 week, the investigator followed Jessica. The report I received was devastating. Photos of Jessica entering a luxury hotel with Trevor. Photos of them having dinner at a steakhouse that cost more per meal than I made in a week. Photos of them walking hand in hand through Washington Park. The investigator also found financial records. Jessica had been using the money she withdrew from our joint account to buy gifts for Trevor. Expensive watches, designer clothes, weekend getaways. My money. The money I had worked for, saved and borrowed. She was spending it on another man. I confronted Jessica the night I received the report. I walked into our apartment and put the folder on the kitchen table. I told her to look at it. She opened it, saw the photos, and for a moment her face went pale. But then instead of apologizing, instead of begging for forgiveness, she looked at me with cold eyes and said, "Trevor gives me what you never could, but I still need your money for now." Those words hit me like a punch to the chest. I told her we were done. I told her the engagement was off. She shrugged and said, "Fine. You will regret this." I thought that was the end. I thought I could move on, rebuild my life, and forget about her. But 2 months later, I received a letter in the mail. It was a court summons. Jessica was suing me. I opened the envelope with shaking hands. Inside was a legal complaint. Jessica was suing me for $80,000. $80,000. The complaint claimed that I had made financial promises to her that I had committed to supporting her future, and that by breaking off the engagement, I had caused her severe emotional and financial distress. She also claimed that I had been emotionally abusive, controlling, and manipulative during our relationship. I read the document 3 times, each time feeling more angry and helpless. Every single accusation was a lie, but there it was in legal writing submitted to the court. Jessica had hired an expensive lawyer named Gregory Ashford. I looked him up online. He was known for winning high-profile divorce and relationship dispute cases. He had a reputation for being aggressive and ruthless. I felt sick. I did not have the money to fight this. I had already spent everything on the wedding that never happened. I was still paying off the loan. But I could not just give up. I started searching for a lawyer I could afford. Most of the attorneys I contacted wanted retainers I could not pay. Then I found Daniel Park. He was a young lawyer who had just opened his own practice. His fees were reasonable, and when I told him my story, he believed me. He said we could fight this. He said we could win. I gave Daniel everything. The private investigator report. The bank statements showing Jessica's withdrawals. The text messages from Amanda. Copies of emails and receipts. Daniel studied everything carefully. Then he told me his strategy. We were not just going to defend against Jessica's lawsuit. We were going to countersue her for fraud and financial abuse. I was nervous, but I trusted him. We spent weeks preparing. Daniel interviewed Amanda, who agreed to testify. He organized all the financial documents into a clear timeline. He prepared questions for Jessica that would expose her lies. I felt a small sense of hope for the first time in months. The day of the court hearing arrived. I woke up early, unable to sleep. I put on the only suit I owned and drove to the courthouse. When I walked into the courtroom, I saw Jessica sitting on the other side with Gregory Ashford. She was dressed in a conservative navy blue dress, her hair pulled back, looking every bit the victim she was pretending to be. She did not even look at me. The hearing began. Gregory Ashford stood up and presented Jessica's case. He painted me as a controlling, manipulative partner who had promised Jessica a future and then abandoned her. He described how I had managed all the finances, how I had isolated her from her friends, how I had caused her immense pain by suddenly ending the engagement. Jessica took the stand. She cried. She talked about how much she had loved me, how she had trusted me, how I had broken her heart. She was a good actor. I felt my stomach turn. Then it was our turn. Daniel stood up, calm and composed. He started by presenting the bank statements. He showed the court exactly how much money Jessica had withdrawn and where it had gone. He presented the private investigator's report, complete with photos and dates. He called Amanda to the stand. Amanda testified about Jessica's affair with Trevor, about the messages Jessica had sent her bragging about using my money. Amanda was nervous, but she told the truth. Daniel then presented text messages, receipts, and financial records, proving that Jessica had used my money to buy gifts for Trevor, to pay for trips with Trevor, and to fund a lifestyle I knew nothing about. The courtroom was silent. I watched Gregory Ashford's face. He looked uncomfortable. He tried to object several times, but the evidence was overwhelming. Then Daniel called Jessica back to the stand. He asked her directly about Trevor. Jessica hesitated. She tried to deny it at first, but Daniel presented photo after photo. Jessica's story started to fall apart. She contradicted herself. She admitted to knowing Trevor, but claimed it was just a friendship. Daniel asked her to explain the hotel visits, the romantic dinners, the trips to Cabo. Jessica could not answer. She stammered. She looked at Gregory Ashford for help, but there was nothing he could do. Gregory Ashford requested a recess, but the judge, a stern woman named Judge Helen Morrison, denied the request. She wanted to hear the rest. Daniel continued. He asked Jessica about the $40,000. Jessica claimed it was for wedding expenses and personal savings. Daniel showed the receipts proving that wedding expenses were paid separately. He asked Jessica to account for every dollar. She could not. She finally admitted in a quiet voice that some of the money went to gifts and trips, but she insisted it was her right to spend it however she wanted. Daniel asked her if she thought it was fair to use money from a joint account, money I had contributed to fund an affair with another man. Jessica had no answer. The judge asked Jessica one final question. Did you or did you not have a romantic relationship with Trevor while you were engaged to the plaintiff? Jessica looked down. After a long pause, she said, "Yes." The courtroom felt like it stopped breathing. Judge Helen Morrison took a 15-minute recess to review all the evidence. Those 15 minutes felt like hours, I sat there, my hands gripping the edge of the table. Daniel whispered to me that it looked good, but I could not let myself hope. Not yet. When the judge returned, the courtroom went silent. Judge Morrison looked directly at Jessica, then at me. She began to speak. She said that after reviewing all the evidence, the testimony, and the financial records, she found Jessica's claims to be without merit. She said it was clear that Jessica had engaged in fraudulent behavior, that she had misused joint funds for personal gain, and that her accusations of emotional abuse were not supported by any evidence. In fact, the judge said the evidence showed that Jessica had been the one engaging in manipulative and deceitful behavior. Then came the part I will never forget. Judge Morrison dismissed Jessica's lawsuit entirely. Not only that, but she ordered Jessica to repay me the full amount she had withdrawn from our joint account for unauthorized purposes, $42,000, $2,000. The judge also ordered Jessica to pay my legal fees, which amounted to $15,000. The judge looked at Jessica sternly and said, "Misrepresenting facts in this court is a serious matter. You are fortunate. I am not pursuing further sanctions against you at this time." I felt a wave of relief wash over me. It was like a weight I had been carrying for months suddenly lifted. I looked over at Jessica. Her face was white. She looked like she was in shock. Gregory Ashford gathered his papers, quickly avoiding eye contact with everyone. The hearing was over. Daniel shook my hand and smiled. He told me we had won and that justice had been served. I thanked him, my voice shaking. As I walked out of the courtroom, I felt lighter than I had in years. In the weeks after the trial, I heard through Marcus what happened to Jessica. Trevor had left her. Apparently, he wanted nothing to do with the scandal. Jessica lost her job because the lawsuit and the details of her affair became public, damaging her reputation and her company's image. She had to sell her car to start paying back the money the court ordered. Eventually, she moved back in with her parents in Eugene. I did not feel happy about her situation. I just felt sad. Sad that the person I once loved had made choices that destroyed her own life. As for me, I focused on healing. I threw myself into my work. 6 months after the trial, I got a promotion at my tech company. I reconnected with Marcus, and we started meeting up regularly again, just like old times. I also started going to therapy. I needed help processing everything that had happened. The therapist helped me understand that I had been in a toxic, manipulative relationship and that it was not my fault. She taught me how to set boundaries, how to trust my instincts, and how to recognize red flags early. I learned to love myself again. I started running in the mornings, something I had not done in years. I traveled a little, visited some national parks, took time to just breathe and think. I was not in a hurry to date anyone. I needed time to heal, to rebuild my sense of self. Looking back now, I realize that losing Jessica was not a loss at all. It was an escape. I had been so focused on making the relationship work that I ignored every warning sign. I ignored my own instincts. I let someone take advantage of me because I was afraid of being alone. But being alone, I learned, is so much better than being with someone who does not respect you. The courtroom was not just about money or winning a case. It was about reclaiming my truth. It was about standing up for myself and refusing to be a victim. I walked into that courtroom feeling small and powerless. I walked out knowing that I had the strength to protect myself, to fight for what was right, and to rebuild my life on my own terms. I do not hate Jessica. I really do not. I just feel sorry for her. She chose a path of lies and manipulation, and it cost her everything. I hope she learns from this. I hope she becomes a better person. But that is not my responsibility anymore. My responsibility is to myself, to my future, and to the people who truly care about me. Sometimes the courtroom is not just about winning or losing. It is about reclaiming your truth, your dignity, and your freedom. And that day, I walked out not just as a victor, but as someone who finally understood what it meant to protect myself. So let me ask you, have you ever had to stand up for yourself in a difficult situation? Have you ever had to fight for what was right, even when it felt impossible? Drop a comment below and share your story. I would love to hear from you. And if this story resonated with you, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with someone who might need to hear it. Your support means everything. Thank you so much for listening to my story, and I wish you strength, peace, and the courage to always stand up for yourself. Take care, and I will see you in the next one.